John Donnison, BBC News.
Well, for more on this story, I'm joined now by Jeremy Konyndyk, who's the president at Refugees International and former senior US government official. Thank you so much for joining us on the program. Yet another tragedy, but are you surprised to see more people losing their lives on the sea?
No, it's not a surprise at all. And this is a tragedy, but I don't think you can really call it an accident. It is an outcome of policies that Italy and that the wider EU have been putting in place for years that have made the passage through the Mediterranean more dangerous and have removed the sort of rescue tools that NGOs and others have been trying to use to at least save lives when people are at risk.
But I guess those governments would argue that they put those policies in place hoping to deter people. But is it not really working then?
It's clearly not working. As bad as the crossing is, and as unsafe as the crossing is, people are still willing to do it because what they're fleeing is worse, and the conditions that they're fleeing in places like Iran and Afghanistan, which is where a number of these migrants apparently came from, are worse. And so if it is so dangerous that they're willing to take that crossing, then clearly making it less safe is not going to deter people yet more. And yet the policy for the last 10 years has been to progressively close off the less dangerous routes and force people into more and more dangerous routes. And just days ago, the Italian government detained an MSF rescue ship and passed new legislation that makes it even harder for the rescue operations to save people. So, this is not an accidental outcome. This is perhaps not an intentional outcome, but certainly one that is sort of baked into the policy calculus that Italy and the wider EU are making here.
But what actually needs to happen, though? Because, for example, with Ukraine, there seems to have been political will to help them. But it's not exactly possible for European nations to be that accommodating with everyone who wants to flee, is it?
Well, I think what is interesting about the Ukraine case in Europe, but also in the U.S. And the U.S. also took in nearly 100,000 Afghans, interestingly, in light of who was in this shipwreck. It shows that when there is political will to give people who are looking for safety an orderly channel to claim asylum, and perhaps not everyone on that boat would have had a valid asylum claim, but certainly some of them would. And when they are given an orderly channel to do so, people will prefer that. There's an experiment going on right now in the U.S. Where citizens of several countries in the Western Hemisphere can now seek protection in the U.S. from where they live without having to make the dangerous overland journey to the U.S. border. And the numbers coming from those countries through the irregular channels have dropped dramatically once they are offered a safer, more orderly channel to do so. And I think there's a real lesson in that, and in the case of the Ukrainians, that where there is political will to remove danger from the process, to not intentionally make it more dangerous as a deterrent, that people will avail themselves of that.
Jeremy Konyndyk, the president at Refugees International, thank you so much for joining us on Newsday this morning.
Thank you so much.